What's going on, everybody? Kriddle here, and I want to talk about For the King 2. So I've been playing for about a week now. It came out last week, and I've been playing here and there with solo and then also with some friends of mine. I want to give you my thoughts on it to see if it's the game for you. So For the King, if you have never played it before, is a strategy tactics RPG. You have an overworld area where you have so many movement spaces that you can move, and each character moves around on those spaces, exploring a procedurally generated region. It's all completely random each time you go through it. However, the story remains the same, but where things are located and the different types of weapons you get and items and armor and all that kind of stuff is completely random. You can choose between 5 different characters starting out. I believe it's the Hunter, Scholar, Blacksmith, Stable Hand, and Herbalist. So those are the 5 starting classes, and you can have up to 4 players this time around. And For the King 1, you could only have 3 characters or 3 players. Now you can have 4 in your party. So it adds a little bit more, user friendliness to your groups. If you have maybe a 4th player that would like to join you, or maybe you have 2 players that want to play together, and each player can play 2 different characters. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier that way. So I really do like that aspect. But once you go around on your overworld map and you get into like a fight, it becomes a tactical RPG where you're doing battles where you have your characters on one side of the battlefield and then the enemies on the other side of the battlefield. And you have a front row and a back row. The melee characters generally are on the front row, range characters generally on the back row. You kind of have, some tank type characters and some healer type characters, and then damagers, magic and, bow users and different things like that. So you have a huge variety of different types of characters in the way that they play. But what's really cool is you can actually unlock more characters, more traits, more things as you play through the game through a thing called lore books. And this is something that I really, really like about the game, is that the first playthrough, the first time you go into it, you have, I believe, 6 different chapters that you can play through. But when you first start out, you only have 1 chapter in those 5 characters. However, as you play through, you might randomly discover a new class that you can play, or you might just get some lore book pieces that you can then go spend at the lore encyclopedia or whatever it's called to be able to unlock new features like added gold when you start out, or different traits. Like each character has 1 trait that they start with. However, each one can have an additional trait. So you might unlock a secondary trait for a character and give them 2 traits, and then those 2 traits completely remakes the way the character plays, which can be a lot of fun. So as you play through the game, you go through random dungeons. You are awarded these lore books, and if once you complete the first campaign, the first mission, chapter, whatever you want to call it, you actually unlock more classes that way. And then each chapter or campaign, you actually start over from the very beginning. I believe the max level is around 9, so you can get to level 9 in each of the chapters. However, once you finish a chapter, which takes roughly 5 to 6 hours to go through, you start brand new with fresh level 0 characters, and you go through again on a new chapter with all the new stuff that you've accumulated. The difficulty settings, there are 3 base difficulty settings. So you have like, a beginner, you have a journeyman, and then you have a master level that are kind of preset. However, there's a customizable option, and you can change all of the difficulty settings as much as you want. You can just take the slider up and down and modify it to your liking so that it plays for you, which is another great feature. And I think more games should have that rather than just have the easy, medium, and then hard difficulties. I think they should have more of a slider and scales and different things like that, especially when you're we're talking about a tactical RPG style game or something like this. This game reminds me of playing like a tabletop Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder kind of thing. Maybe you can't get your friends together or find a DM to play for you. This is a great way to get your friends together and be able to play a D&D style or tabletop style game, but on your computer. So that's basically, the gameplay, how it works. There are a couple of issues that people have been saying over on Steam. I've been looking at some of the reviews. It's only got a 6 out of 10 on reviews. However, I disagree with that. A lot of those reviews are bad or negative because there's some co-op issues with it. One of the things that I did notice that a lot of people were saying that they don't understand how certain things work in the game, etc. And when you go into the game co-op, you actually don't get a tutorial. It doesn't teach you anything. You need to know what you're doing when you go into the game co-op. But if you go into single player, there is a tutorial there that will show you different things and how the game works. So I highly recommend maybe going in, playing a couple hours, or just playing the entire first chapter by yourself. To learn the rules, and then when you want to play co-op, you can play with your friends. You can have as many saves as you want with multiple different groups. I actually have 4 different games going on right now. I have my single player game and 3 multiplayer games. There isn't like a, hey, I'm going to save it, put in a file name or whatever, so you can name the different things. So you have to look at a little preview screen of your save and see what characters are in there, so you know which one to load. So it can be a little bit tedious with that. However, that is a way to do it. And you can have as many games as you want. Another really cool feature that I liked is when you're playing co-op, if your friend unlocks certain things through the lore books, and then you unlock certain things through the lore books, and you join a game together, you have both people's stuff unlocked. So it's not just the host that has things unlocked, it's both players, or up to 4 players. Everybody can unlock different things, and you can have literally everything unlocked if you split up where you're spending your lore book. So if you're strategic about that and you want to get everything unlocked, but you don't have the time to put 100 hours into the game to get everything unlocked, that is one way to do it with all of your friends. So another really great feature that I really like. The combat is turn-based, 100% turn-based, so each player will take their turn and move around the overall world map, and then also in the battle they're going to be doing their turn, and then it'll go to the next player, and it's all going to be initiative rolls. Essentially, it's going to be based on your speed of your character, which one goes first. There's like a bar up at the top. So standard things when it comes to that. So anyway, that is kind of my quick overview of the game. I really, really enjoy it. I don't think it deserves that 6 out of 10 rating. I believe it should be much higher than that. I do agree with some of the things that people are saying that are negatives, like, each weapon only has 2, maybe 3 different types of attacks. The characters are kind of, pigeonholed into their thing. However, if you play around with the system enough and you understand the system, you can really make these different types of characters and tweak it the way that you want. You can have, for example, I have 3 different weapons on one of my scholars in one of my games that I'm playing. And I have 3 different weapons that I switch between depending on what I'm fighting. So I might be fighting something that is weak to fire, so I catch things on fire. Or I might be fighting something that I want to prevent them from making perfect attacks, so I use my shock weapon to shock them, which prevents them from being able to do a perfect attack, things like that. So there's a lot of strategy there that's kind of hidden behind some of the game mechanics, and unfortunately they don't tell you a lot of how those mechanics work. They just say, here's what it does, but they don't give you any numbers or anything, any way to say, well, it's like a 10% or a 20% chance that this might happen. And then if you add another chance on top of that, do they add together? Do they multiply? Or do they just cancel each other out and the higher one takes precedence? They don't really go into a lot of detail about that and how it works. So kind of take that as you will, but I'm having a lot of fun playing the game. I definitely recommend playing this game co-op, although it is fun to play single player as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video or it helps you out in any way, please like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And I do stream daily over on Twitch. I'd love to have you there and chat with me. And I play games with viewers all the time, especially when it comes to co-op games. We play Diablo, Final Fantasy. I'm playing For the King, I'm playing what is it called? Dungeons 4 that just came out recently. So we have a lot of games, and I played tons of Mario games and Nintendo games and stuff as well. So, anything that you might want to check out, I play pretty much all of it, and, we kind of look at it together and talk about it. So love to have you there. Anyway, thank you so much, and hopefully I see you next time. Bye.